The sky of the alien world was painted in strange colors, not like Earth. The sun was brighter, and the air carried a taste of metal. The human traveler, Daniel, walked carefully through the marketplace of the alien city, his boots pressing against smooth stone roads, his eyes wide as he tried to take in the sights around him everywhere. Tall figures with silver skin and glowing eyes moved slowly, their heads turning toward him. Some stared with curiosity, some with silent judgment. Daniel felt like a single grain of sand in a desert of strangers. He held a small bag in his hand, the last of his rations, bread and dried meat from his ship. He stopped near a quiet corner, where he noticed one of the aliens sitting alone. The alien looked thinner than the others, almost fragile, their long arms folded tightly, their glowing eyes dim. Daniel could see the hunger in that posture, the hesitation, the way the alien's gaze kept moving toward food stalls but never stepping forward. Daniel hesitated for a moment, then smiled softly. He opened his bag and pulled out a piece of bread, warm and simple, nothing special on Earth, but precious here on a world where everything was strange. He crouched slightly and stretched out his hand. "Hey, you look hungry here, take this," Daniel said in calm, simple words. The alien blinked, their bodies stiffening. Their glowing eyes brightened instantly. The air around them seemed to freeze. Every movement in the marketplace slowed. Other aliens turned their heads at once. Silence spread like a wave. The alien whispered with a trembling voice, You shared food with me?" Daniel tilted his head, surprised at the sudden reaction. "Yeah, just food. It's nothing big," he said casually, holding out the bread. But to the alien, it was not casual, it was not nothing. Their hands shook as they reached out slowly. Like touching a holy object, the alien's chest rose and fell rapidly, and then they pressed the bread to their forehead. Closing their eyes, a low hum came from their throat, a sound like prayer all around them. The crowd erupted into whispers, glowing eyes widened. Voices echoed in their strange language. Daniel could not understand the words, but he could feel the weight of the moment. Every eye locked on him. The alien finally took a bite. Slow, careful, reverent, then looked at Daniel with a mixture of shock and awe. "Human, do you know what you have done?" Daniel laughed lightly, nervous now. "I just gave you food." "Nothing more," he said. The alien stood, taller than Daniel expected, their voice trembling but strong. "On my planet, to share food is not small, it is not kindness, it is a marriage proposal." The words hit Daniel like a thunderclap. His smile froze, his heart skipped. He blinked rapidly, trying to understand. "What? Marriage?" he asked in disbelief. "Yes," the alien said, their voice firm. "You offered food to me. In front of witnesses. You have chosen me as your bondmate. It cannot be undone." The whispers of the crowd grew louder, spreading quickly. Some gasped in joy. Others shouted with excitement. A few even laughed. But all of them looked at Daniel as if he had just stepped into something far greater than himself. Daniel's throat felt dry. His hands tightened around the empty bag. His mind raced. This was supposed to be a quiet walk, a simple act of kindness. Now it had turned into something huge, something binding. The alien's glowing eyes softened, almost tender now. "You will stand with me, human. You have given me the most sacred gift, and by tradition, I will honor you for all my life." Daniel's voice cracked. "Wait, no, I didn't mean it like that. Where I'm from, sharing food is just friendly, not marriage." But his words only made the alien smile faintly, as if Daniel was being modest, as if humans did not know the true weight of their own actions. The marketplace grew louder, other aliens stepping closer, some calling out in excitement, others whispering about the human who proposed. Children pointing with glowing eyes wide, elders nodding in approval. Daniel's heart pounded, his legs felt weak. He had no idea how to escape this storm. The alien stepped closer, placing a hand gently on his shoulder. Their silver skin cooled to the touch. "You have chosen me," the alien said softly, almost lovingly, "and I accept." Daniel's mouth opened, but no words came. He stood frozen, surrounded by strangers who now saw him not as an outsider, but as something else entirely. The air grew heavy, the crowd waiting for his response. Daniel realized that one simple piece of bread had turned into the most dangerous, most confusing moment of his life. The alien leaned closer and whispered, "From this day forward, our lives are bound." And before Daniel could protest, the sound of ceremonial drums began to echo from the heart of the city. The sound of drums rolled across the alien marketplace, deep and thunderous like the heartbeat of the planet itself. Daniel froze in place, the half-empty bread bag hanging loosely from his hand. The alien who had taken the food stood tall beside him, glowing eyes filled with a strange mix of pride and nervous joy. The crowd parted as older aliens approached, their silver skin lined with patterns that shimmered under the sun. They carried staffs carved with glowing symbols. Every step they took seemed heavy with meaning. The younger aliens bowed their heads, the whispers quieted. All eyes shifted toward the elders and the human who stood trembling among them. Daniel swallowed hard, his voice unsteady. "Listen, I think there's been a misunderstanding," he said, raising his hand slowly. I didn't propose anything." But his words were drowned in the booming voice of the eldest alien, their eyes glowing brighter than the rest. Silence falls when tradition rises. This human has spoken in the oldest way. He has given food, he has offered bond, he has chosen. The crowd cheered. A wave of sound that shook Daniel's chest. His ears rang. He looked around helplessly, their faces shining with excitement. Some aliens even clapped their long hands together, while others cried out words he could not understand. The alien beside him, slender, wide-eyed, still holding the piece of bread carefully, looked at him with soft wonder. "You will not be alone now, human. Your path has joined mine," they said in a voice that shook with emotion. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck, panic building. "No, you don't understand. Where I come from, sharing food is just polite, friendly, not marriage," he insisted. But the alien only tilted their head as if Daniel's words were charming but foolish. The elder raised their staff, the glowing patterns pulsing like fire. "Long before cities, before machines, our people roamed the wastes. Food was scarce. Survival was shared only with one's chosen mate. To place food in another's hands was to give part of your life, your future, your bond. This law is older than stone, older than our skies." Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He realized how deeply this belief was woven into their culture. What was casual on Earth was sacred here. His simple act had been seen as binding, and the entire city now stood witness. More aliens gathered, merchants abandoning their stalls, children climbing up onto ledges to see better. Daniel felt the weight of 1,000 eyes pressing down on him. His palms sweaty, his heart racing, the alien beside him stepped forward proudly, their voice rising clear above the crowd. "I accept the bond of the human. I, Celira of the Silver Line, accept with heart and spirit. Our lives are joined." The crowd erupted again, a roar of approval. Daniel stumbled back a step, his mind spinning. Celira's glowing eyes locked on his, calm yet burning with determination. Daniel whispered harshly, "Celira, listen. I didn't mean it that way on Earth. We share food all the time, with friends, with strangers. It doesn't mean marriage." Celira blinked slowly, their expression softening but not wavering. "Perhaps on your Earth it is different, but here, your action is written in our traditions. The bond is sealed. You cannot walk away without breaking the deepest law of my people." Daniel's stomach turned. "And what happens if I refuse?" he asked cautiously. The elder's eyes narrowed, the glowing symbols on the staff pulsing harder. "Refusal is dishonor. It brings shame to the one offered. It is betrayal, and betrayal is remembered forever." The crowd murmured darkly, the cheerful atmosphere shifting for a moment into something heavier. Daniel felt sweat trickle down his temple. He realized this wasn't only about him and Celira. This was about the entire society watching, judging, waiting. Celira stepped closer, lowering their voice so only Daniel could hear. "Do not fear, I know your ways are different. But perhaps this bond can be more than tradition. Perhaps it can be friendship, understanding, a bridge between our worlds." Daniel looked into their glowing eyes, saw not just cultural duty but also genuine hope, maybe even kindness. Celira wasn't mocking him. They weren't trying to trap him. They truly believed this was fate. He sighed, running a hand through his hair, the sound of the drums still echoing. "I don't know what to do," he muttered. The elder raised both hands, their voice booming once more. "The union must be blessed. The human and Celira will walk to the Hall of Bonds. There, under the sacred flame, they will seal the tradition, and the stars themselves will mark their path." The crowd cheered again, the market alive with energy. Aliens began to follow, turning the moment into a grand procession. Daniel found himself swept along, Celira walking close at his side, their hand brushing his arm lightly. Daniel's heart hammered, his mind screamed, but deep inside, a strange curiosity sparked. What if this misunderstanding could change more than his own life? What if this small act of kindness could change the relationship between humans and this alien race forever? As the Hall of Bonds loomed ahead, tall and glowing with strange blue fire, Daniel realized there was no turning back. The food he shared had set something in motion, something sacred, something dangerous, something that could bind not just him and Salira, but two entire species. And all of it had started with one piece of bread. The Hall of Bonds towered above Daniel, its walls carved from stone that shimmered like liquid silver. Blue flames burned in tall bowls at the entrance, sending waves of heat into the air. The crowd filled the wide street, their glowing eyes locked on the human who had unknowingly walked into one of the most sacred traditions of their world. Daniel's steps felt heavy, each one echoing inside his chest like a drumbeat. Beside him, Salira walked proudly, her long arms swinging with confidence. Her chin lifted high, she looked honored, as though destiny itself had chosen her. Daniel, however, felt only panic, his thoughts chasing themselves in circles. This is madness, this is a misunderstanding. How do I explain? How do I tell them I didn't mean it? When they reached the base of the steps, the elder raised his glowing staff, the symbols pulsing like a heartbeat. The Hall of Bonds will now receive the chosen pair, the human and Salira. Their bond shall be witnessed by flame and by star. The crowd roared with approval. Chants rising like a storm, Daniel felt his stomach twist. He leaned toward Salira and whispered, "Listen, I can't do this where I come from. Food doesn't mean marriage, it doesn't mean anything close to this." Salira tilted her head, her glowing eyes softening with patience. "Your words are strange. Daniel, but here your act has meaning. Perhaps you did not know, but that does not make it less true. Your kindness has bound us, and I will not let you be ashamed of it." Daniel rubbed his temples. "I didn't mean to bind us, I just wanted to help," he said quietly. But Salira only smiled faintly. "That is why it is powerful. Because you gave without knowing, without expecting. That makes the bond pure." Before Daniel could argue, a group of robed aliens stepped forward, drummers, their hands striking deep rhythms that shook the stone underfoot. The flames rose higher, casting long shadows across the square. Inside the hall, the air was heavy with incense. Glowing patterns carved into the walls lit up as the pair entered. More aliens followed, their voices humming in low unison, a sound like wind through ancient caves. Daniel felt trapped in a world of ritual he did not understand. The elder pointed to a raised platform. "Step forward, humans, step forward, Salira." "Let the flame see your faces," Daniel hesitated. His hands sweaty, but Salira gently touched his arm, guiding him onto the platform. Her touch was light but steady, as if she feared he might bolt at any second. Standing before the sacred flame, Daniel tried one last time, his voice shaking. "This is wrong, you're making a mistake on Earth. We share food all the time, it doesn't mean love. It doesn't mean marriage, it just means kindness." Gasps spread through the hall, whispers rippling like water. The elder's eyes narrowed. "Kindness? You dare call it simple? To us it is sacred. To us it is life. Only bondmates share food. Only bondmates trust each other with such a gift. To call it simple is to call our ancestors fools." Daniel flinched, realizing his words had insulted them without meaning to. Salira stepped forward quickly, raising her hands. "He is not mocking us. Elder, he is only lost. His world is different. His people live by other ways. He does not understand, but his heart is true. I saw it in his eyes when he gave me bread." The crowd murmured again, some nodding, others frowning. Daniel looked at Salira in shock. Her voice carried not only defense but also something else, real emotion. "Salira," he whispered, but his throat closed before he could finish. The elder lowered his staff, his gaze piercing. "Then let him learn. Let him see why our people hold this bond sacred. If his world has forgotten, then we shall remind him. We shall show him what food means." "What unity means?" Daniel's pulse raced. "Show me!" "What does that mean?" he asked nervously. The elder struck the ground with his staff. The blue flames flared higher, and hidden doors opened at the sides of the hall. Servants emerged carrying trays, each one filled with glowing fruits, steaming bread, and strange meats that smelled rich and heavy. The elder spoke. "To seal the bond, you must share a meal before the flame. Not as strangers, not as guest and host, but as one." Daniel's knees weakened, his chest tight, he muttered, "This is going too far." But the crowd leaned forward eagerly, their glowing eyes burning with expectation. Salira picked up a glowing fruit, its skin shimmering with silver light. She held it out to him, her voice steady but soft. "Take this, Daniel, and I will take from you. Let the flame see us share." Daniel's hand shook. He stared at the fruit, something inside him screaming to refuse. But another voice whispered, "If you refuse, you insult them, you shame her. You might start something worse than this misunderstanding." His chest rose and fell rapidly, sweat sliding down his neck. Celira waited patiently, her eyes locked on his. Finally, Daniel reached out, his fingers brushing the glowing fruit. The crowd let out a collective gasp. The hall filled with the sound of hundreds of voices whispering one word over and over, a word Daniel didn't understand, but he felt its weight. Celira smiled faintly as he lifted the fruit toward his lips. Her gaze filled with quiet triumph. Daniel's heart pounded. He bit into the fruit, its taste sharp and electric, and the hall erupted in cheers that shook the walls. Celira took bread from the tray and ate it slowly. Their voices rose in unison, chanting words that filled Daniel's ears like thunder. The elder raised his staff one final time, his voice booming. "The bond is witnessed. The bond is sealed." Daniel staggered back, his stomach twisting, his mind spinning. He had just stepped deeper into a tradition he could not escape. He realized with chilling certainty that this was no longer just a misunderstanding. It was becoming his new reality. The ceremony was over, but the echoes of the crowd still rang in Daniel's ears. As he stepped out of the Hall of Bonds, the air outside seemed thicker, filled with the sounds of chanting, laughter, and celebration. The alien city had already transformed. Banners of glowing cloth were being raised. Musicians struck long pipes that filled the streets with deep tones, and the people shouted one name over and over, the human. Daniel pulled at his collar nervously, his stomach still unsettled from the strange glowing fruit. "This is getting out of hand," he muttered under his breath. But Celira walked beside him with a proud posture, her glowing eyes shining with joy, as if the entire day was her victory. Crowds lined the streets now, more aliens than Daniel had ever seen in one place. Children climbed onto rooftops to catch a glimpse. Vendors abandoned their stalls just to follow. Whispers passed quickly through the crowd. The human who shared food, the human who proposed, the human who chose Celira. Daniel tried to ignore them, but the weight of 1,000 stares pressed heavily against him. "Celira, please," he said, leaning closer, his voice desperate. "They think this is real, but it's not. You know it's not." "I never meant to propose to anyone." Celira glanced at him calmly, her voice gentle but firm. "It does not matter what you meant, Daniel. What matters is what they saw, what they believe. In their hearts the bond is real, and in time, you may see it too." Her words made his chest tighten, not with anger but with confusion, because behind her calm tone, there was something deeper, something that almost sounded like hope. As they walked further, Daniel noticed that not everyone celebrated. On the edges of the crowd, small groups of aliens stood with narrowed eyes. Their whispers were sharper, their posture tense, jealousy hung in their gaze. Why her? Why not me? Why is the human's choice Celira? Daniel could feel the tension even if he didn't understand the words. The elders had promised unity, but Daniel could already sense division. His small act of kindness was spreading ripples far larger than he had imagined. Suddenly, a younger alien stepped into the path, tall and broad, his eyes burning bright with challenge. He pointed a long finger at Celira and shouted in their language. The crowd gasped, whispers turning into waves of surprise. Celira stiffened, her glow dimming slightly. "He is challenging," she said quietly. Her voice strained. Daniel blinked. "Challenging? Challenging what?" "The bond," she answered. Her eyes locked on the young alien. "He says it should not be me. He says the human's gift should belong to another." The young alien raised his voice again, pounding his chest, his words filled with fire. The crowd's excitement shifted into unease, cheers fading into anxious murmurs. Daniel's stomach dropped. "Wait, he wants to take your place."
"Can he even do that?"
Celira's lips pressed together tightly. "Yes, in our law, a bond can be challenged if another claims they are more worthy. But it is dangerous. It can divide families, even cities." Daniel rubbed his face in disbelief. "I didn't sign up for this. I don't want any bond. Let alone a challenge," he muttered. But the crowd was already circling, their glowing eyes hungry for drama. The elder appeared once more, striking the ground with his staff, his voice booming. "The human has given food. The human has chosen. But the challenge must be heard. The flames demand balance," the crowd roared, some cheering for Celira, others shouting for the challenger. The noise pressed into Daniel's skull until he thought his head would burst. Celira stepped forward, her back straight, her voice loud. "I accept the challenge, but know this, he gave the food to me, not you. His hand chose me, not you," the challenger snarled, his glowing eyes fierce, his fists tightening. The tension grew thicker, and Daniel found himself caught in the center of a storm he didn't understand. He whispered harshly, "Salira, this is insane. Why don't you just tell them it was a mistake? Tell them I didn't mean it." Salira turned to him, her eyes soft but resolute. "If I say it is a mistake, it will shame you, it will shame me, it will shame us both before the flame. Do you want the city to see you as a betrayer on the day of your bond?" Daniel's lips parted, but no sound came. Shame? Betrayal. Those words carried weight here, heavier than he could bear. The crowd already looked at him like a figure from legend. If he broke their belief now, it could crush everything. The elder lifted his staff once more. "The flame will decide tomorrow, at the rise of the twin moons. The human's choice will be tested. Salira will stand, the challenger will stand, and the bond will be witnessed again." The crowd exploded in cheers and shouts, some in support of Salira, others hungry for the drama of a trial. Daniel's heart pounded harder than ever. He had one day to figure out what was happening, one day to decide whether to fight this madness or embrace it. Salira placed a hand gently on his shoulder, her voice quiet beneath the roar of the crowd. "Do not fear, Daniel. Tomorrow we will stand together, and they will see the truth of your gift." Daniel stared at her, confused by the softness in her words, the quiet trust in her eyes, and for the first time, he wondered if this was no longer only about misunderstanding, but something deeper, something real growing where he least expected it. As the crowd began to disperse, chanting and singing into the night, Daniel realized he had become more than a visitor. More than an outsider, he was a symbol now. A symbol of hope, conflict and union, and tomorrow his choice or his silence would decide the fate of not just Salira, but perhaps the entire bond between humans and her people. The night on the alien planet was not silent. Instead, the city buzzed with restless voices. Glowing lanterns hung from tall towers, and groups of aliens gathered in the streets, arguing, whispering, and debating. Daniel sat in a small chamber provided by the elders, his head in his hands, the echoes of drums still ringing in his ears. He could hear them outside. The chants, the songs, the cheers for Salira, but also the shouts for the challenger. The city had split into two sides, and all because he had offered a piece of bread. Daniel rubbed his temples, muttering to himself, "How did I end up here? I didn't come to marry anyone, I didn't come to start a war." His voice cracked with frustration. Salira stood quietly near the window, her glowing eyes watching the crowds below, her face calm but her hands clasped tightly, her voice soft. "You are not to blame, Daniel. Our people are quick to passion. They see the flame of story in every act. Your kindness has become legend before you even understood it." Daniel let out a bitter laugh. "Legend? It feels more like a trap. Tomorrow I have to stand in front of everyone, while some stranger tries to take you away and I don't even belong here." Salira turned, her eyes meeting his. "You belong now. Whether you accept it or not, you gave me food, and our people will not forget it. You are tied to me, and I am tied to you." Her words carried both certainty and something softer, a quiet plea. Daniel leaned back against the wall, his chest heavy. "What if I don't stand with you tomorrow? What if I tell them I made a mistake?" Her expression darkened. "Then they will not only shame me, they will shame you, and the challenger will rise as the one who was wronged. You will be marked as dishonorable, and no human who comes after you will be trusted again." Those words sank deep into Daniel's stomach, the weight of it twisting like a knife. It wasn't only about him anymore, it was about all of humanity, their reputation, their future with this alien race. Silence stretched between them, broken only by the noise of the city outside. Finally, Daniel whispered, "So my choices are what? Marry you or destroy everything?" Salira's lips curved faintly, though her eyes were serious. "Not marry, Daniel. Bond, it is not the same. It is not chains. It is unity. Trust. A bridge. It can be friendship. It can be something more if we choose, but it begins with respect." Her words lingered in his mind, simple yet heavy. The next morning, the city awoke before the suns had fully risen. Streets were filled with aliens carrying banners and playing long horns. Children ran through the crowds shouting Salira's name or the name of the challenger. Daniel walked between guards toward the great square, his legs weak, his stomach twisted with dread. The square was enormous, carved from black stone. In the center burned a great flame that reached high into the air. Thousands of glowing eyes surrounded it, staring, waiting, whispering. The elder stood tall beside the fire, his staff glowing brighter than ever. His voice rolled like thunder. "Today, The bond of the human shall be tested. Salira of the Silver Line has accepted his gift, but the challenge has been made. Only the flame shall witness the truth. The challenger stepped forward, his broad frame radiating strength. His glowing eyes sharp with pride. His voice boomed across the square. The human's gift was wasted. Salira is weak, unworthy. I claim the bond, I claim the right. The crowd erupted, some cheering, others booing. Daniel's chest tightened, sweat running down his back. Salira stepped forward calmly, her chin raised. He chose me, not you. His hands gave food to me, not you. You cannot take what was not offered. The elder raised his staff, silencing the crowd. The trial shall be simple. The flame demands proof. The human must speak his choice. With his words, the bond shall stand or fall. Daniel froze. His throat dry, all eyes locked on him. Thousands of glowing gazes burning into his skin. His mind screamed for escape, but his body felt heavy. Rooted to the stone, Salira turned to him. Her voice quiet but steady. Daniel, whatever you say, I will accept, but know this. If you walk away, the shame will follow you. If you stand with me, the bond will protect you. And perhaps it will protect all your people too. The challenger sneered. His arms crossed. Speak, human. Show us who you truly are. Daniel's breath came in shallow gasps. His mind racing. One choice could end everything. The other could tie him to a life he never imagined. He thought of Earth, of his people, of how small kindness could mean so much here. He thought of Salira's eyes, soft and steady, even when the world shouted around them. He opened his mouth, the words trembling but clear. I gave my food to Salira because she looked hungry. Because I wanted to help. On my world it is small. But here it is not small. Here it is sacred, so I will not take it back. I will not shame her. I will stand by her. The square exploded with cheers, the crowd stamping their feet and raising their voices. The elder struck his staff against the stone, sparks flying into the air. The bond is spoken, the bond is chosen. Salira exhaled deeply, relief softening her face. She turned to Daniel, whispering, Thank you. But even as the crowd cheered, Daniel noticed the challenger's eyes burning with rage. His fists clenched tight. This was not over. This was only the beginning of something far larger, and Daniel realized with a shiver that his choice had just tied the fate of two worlds together. The square still echoed with the cheers of the crowd. The drums pounded like thunder. The chants rolled like waves. Daniel stood frozen, his heart hammering in his chest. Salira beside him, breathing slowly, her glowing eyes soft yet filled with something heavy, relief, pride, maybe even hope. But the elder was not finished. He raised his glowing staff and pointed toward the tall structure at the edge of the square, a temple built from shining stone, flames burning at its gates. His booming voice silenced the crowd. The human has spoken. The bond has been claimed, but it must be sealed. The ceremony will be held, and the flame will bear witness. The crowd erupted once more, chants of Daniel's name and Salira's name mixing into one strange song. Banners waved high, horns blasted through the air. Daniel felt dizzy, trapped in a dream that was moving too fast. Guards with silver armor gestured for him and Salira to walk. The path cleared through the sea of glowing eyes. Every alien leaned forward, whispering, pointing, reaching out as if to touch history. Daniel kept his eyes on the ground, his chest tight, his mind screaming, how do I escape this? How did kindness turn into this nightmare? Salira leaned close, her voice calm. Do not fear, Daniel. The ceremony is not punishment. It is blessing. Once complete, no one can challenge us again. Her words carried comfort, but also finality. No escape, no undoing. The temple gates loomed higher and higher as they approached, carved with swirling patterns that seemed to move like living fire. The heat of the great flames licked at Daniel's skin. Inside the hall, the smell of incense was heavy. Glowing crystals lined the walls, their light casting long shadows. At the center, a wide circular platform held a bowl of blue fire, tall and endless, its flames swirling as if alive. The elder took his place beside it, his staff raised high, his voice deep. Here stands the human. Here stands Salira of the Silver Line. Before the flame, before the people, they will seal the bond, and the stars will carry their vow across time. Daniel's throat tightened, his palms sweaty. Every alien in the hall sat in silence, eyes fixed on him and Salira. He whispered harshly, Salira, I can't. This is too much. I'm not ready for this. She turned to him, her eyes glowing gently. Neither am I. But sometimes the path finds us before we are ready. All you must do is stand with me, nothing more. Her words struck him. soft yet grounding, and for a moment the panic in his chest eased. The elder gestured to a pair of attendants. They stepped forward carrying two objects. One was a loaf of glowing bread, the other a cup filled with shimmering liquid. The elder's voice rose. To seal the bond, food must be shared. Drink must be shared, flame must witness. Only then is the vow eternal. Daniel stared at the glowing bread, his mouth dry, again with food. He thought bitterly, but now he understood. Now he knew it was not just food, it was life, it was promise. Celira took the bread first, breaking it in half. She offered one piece to Daniel. Her hand steady, her eyes never leaving his. Daniel hesitated, his hand trembling, but slowly he took it. The crowd gasped as if the entire universe had just tilted. Together they ate, their movements slow, deliberate. The hall filled with whispers. Then Celira lifted the cup, the liquid swirling like liquid stars. She held it out to him. Daniel touched the edge carefully, his lips brushing the rim as he drank. The taste was sharp, strange, but it burned warmly through his chest. Celira drank after him, her voice a whisper carried by the silence. Now it is done. The elder slammed his staff against the stone, sparks flying high into the air. The bond is sealed, human and Celira are joined. Flame has witnessed, people have witnessed, it is eternal. The hall erupted into cheers, the sound rolling like thunder. The flames flared brighter, lighting up the entire temple. Daniel staggered slightly under the weight of it all. Celira stepped closer, her hand resting gently on his arm, grounding him. But even as the crowd cheered, Daniel caught movement at the edge of the hall. The challenger stood there, his eyes burning with rage, his fists clenched tight. Though the bond was sealed, his fury had not ended. Daniel's stomach twisted. He whispered, "Celira, this isn't over." "He's not finished." Celira's gaze followed Daniel's, her voice low. "No, it is not over, but now you are under the flame's protection. If he strikes against tradition itself. That is a dangerous path." Daniel nodded weakly, but he knew danger was still near. As they stepped out of the temple, the crowd greeted them like heroes. Aliens threw glowing petals into the air. Music thundered. Chants shook the streets. Daniel forced a smile, but inside, his thoughts spun wildly. I'm not just a visitor anymore. I am part of them, whether I want to be or not. Celira walked proudly, her head high, yet her grip on his arm was gentle, almost protective for the first time. Daniel saw not just duty in her eyes, but something warmer, something real. And deep in his chest he felt a strange spark. Fear. Yes, but also curiosity, even wonder. The ceremony was complete, but the true test was only beginning. Because Daniel knew the challenger would not rest, and he could not shake the question burning in his mind. What if sharing food had bound him not only to Celira, but to the fate of two worlds? The city glowed like fire as night fell. 2 moons hung high above, casting silver light across the alien streets. The celebration after the ceremony filled every corner. Music thundered, dancers spun, children shouted Daniel's name. Food stalls gave away glowing fruits in honor of the human and Celira. But inside, Daniel felt no peace. He sat in a quiet chamber. The sound of celebration muffled through the walls. His hands rested on his knees, his thoughts heavy. This is not my world, this is not my law. But they believe it now, they believe I am part of them. Celira entered quietly, her steps soft, her glowing eyes calm but searching. She sat across from him, her voice gentle. The ceremony is complete, the bond is sealed. Yet you look as if you carry a stone on your back. Daniel sighed, rubbing his face. Because I never asked for this. Celira, I didn't mean for any of it. And now I feel trapped, like I'm not me anymore. Like I belong to something I don't understand. Celira lowered her gaze, her voice quiet. I know, and yet, I do not regret it when you gave me food. I saw more than kindness, I saw courage, I saw trust. Even if it was small to you. To me it was everything. Her words struck him, simple but heavy. Daniel opened his mouth to reply when the door burst open. Guards rushed in, their armor glowing under torchlight. Their leader shouted, "The challenger has broken the law. He calls the bond false. He gathers those who follow him. He comes here." Daniel stood quickly, his heart pounding. He's coming here? After all this? The guard nodded sharply. Yes, he says the flame lies. He says the human is unworthy. Before Daniel could answer, the sound of angry voices rose outside. Footsteps shouting. The challenger appeared at the head of a crowd, his glowing eyes fierce, his voice booming. This is a trick. The human mocks us, mocks our law, mocks the flame. The guards moved to block him, but the square was already filling with tension. the celebration breaking apart, cheers turning to cries of confusion and fear. Daniel felt panic rising, but Salira grabbed his hand, steadying him, her voice urgent. Now is the moment, Daniel. If you remain silent, he will break us. He will divide the city. Speak now, speak from your heart, and they will hear. Daniel's throat tightened, his legs felt weak, but he saw the eyes of the crowd turning toward him, waiting, judging, hungry for his answer. The elder stood behind the flame, his face grave, his staff glowing faintly. The challenger pointed at Daniel, his voice like thunder. Tell us, human, do you truly accept this bond or do you reject us all? Speak the truth. Silence fell, heavy and sharp. Daniel's breath came in short gasps. His mind raced. If I say no, they will hate me. They will see humans as liars, but if I say yes, then I tie myself to Salira forever. To this people forever. Salira's hand squeezed his, her eyes steady, her whisper soft. Do not think of chains, think of bridges. What do you want your people to be? What do you want humanity to mean to the stars? The words struck him, sharp and clear. He lifted his head slowly, his voice trembling at first but growing stronger. On Earth, sharing food is simple. It means friendship, kindness, but here, it means more. It means a bond, and I see that now. I see how much it matters to you. So I say this, I will not take back my gift. I will not shame Salira. I will not shame your law. I will stand with her. I will stand with you. The crowd gasped, then roared with thunderous cheers, the sound rolling across the square like a storm. Salira's eyes filled with light, relief, and pride shining together. The challenger shouted in rage, Lies! He speaks lies. He lunged forward, but the elder slammed his staff down. The flame roared higher, blue fire spilling into the sky. The elder's voice thundered. The flame has heard, the flame has accepted. To deny it is to deny the stars themselves. The challenger froze, the crowd turned on him, angry voices shouting. Guards seized him and dragged him back, his cries fading as the cheers grew louder. Daniel stood shaking, the firelight painting his face. Salira stepped closer, whispering, You have done more than seal a bond, Daniel. You have given them hope. Hope that humans and my people can stand together. Daniel looked at her, his chest heavy but strangely light at the same time. Maybe I didn't mean to start this, but maybe it's what needed to happen, Salira smiled faintly, her glowing eyes soft. Perhaps the stars chose you, Daniel, not the bread. The crowd continued to cheer, chanting both their names, the flames burning higher as if the universe itself bore witness. And as Daniel looked out at the thousands of glowing eyes, he realized something strange and powerful. He was no longer just a visitor. He was a part of their story, and his simple human kindness had bound two worlds together. What began with a piece of bread had become something greater, something that would be remembered forever. And deep inside, Daniel wondered, if sharing food can change a world, what other small human customs could shake the stars?